Well, good morning everyone and welcome to the show. Today, we have something you guys have been asking for and you constantly ask for. What is it, Fernando?
It's a 911 race kit.
On an F-150.
There you go.
How cool is that? All right, stay tuned. This customer reached out to us after watching our F-150 Raptor video. He has an F-150 with a Bang & Olufsen system in it. It has a DM608, it has a bunch of JL amplifiers. And he was like, something just doesn't seem right with my system. Can you guys take a look at it? He brought it here, he asked Fernando, hey Fernando, can you take a look at my system?
Yeah, sure, let's go.
And they came out and they saw this. Where to begin? So let's go through and show you what we found right off the bat and some of the things we're gonna be tasked with fixing. So first thing you notice when he popped the hood is that the ground does not come to here. It's just grounded to the aluminum frame in the back. Now for those of you that ever installed a Zen audio product, the first thing that it warns you on the Zen installation is that don't do that. Ground resistance is gonna be too high for it to function properly and that you should connect to the battery. And if you call and ask NAV TV for tech support, that's the first question they ask you. Did you connect to the battery? And when you say no, good luck. That's all I gotta say. Now, other than this just not being pretty, there's not much wrong back here. I mean, yeah, the wires are kind of draped around, and but it's not the end of the world. I like the blue tape. The blue tape is a nice touch, but this guy, this is the software for this guy. So we're on right now, we're on output channel 1 has every single input feeding it. There's no crossovers on because they've turned them on here on the amplifier, which there again, that's up to you. No time delay being used. And this is the only EQ that they've done. This is it. I'm guessing they did the auto EQ feature and this is all it fixed because after all, it has a Zen feeding it a clean signal input. There's no de-equalization needed. So using that feature on this is utterly pointless, but that would also explain why there is so much floor noise and gain hiss, is because as you can see, it did a boost here in the treble. Now, none of the other channels have any equalization done on them at all. This is essentially just a cool black box that is, the RCAs are running through and going over the amplifiers. It's not doing anything at all. In the doors, we went with the nice Focal integration coaxials. There again, nothing particularly wrong with this. This is a good speaker to go with. However, they do make a 6x9 component version of this, which is probably what I would have gone with so that you could put the tweeter up here. Now they did install some tweeters into the A-pillar, and they just used the cap, which is kind of strange. Let's pull this bracket off. They made a custom bracket. And we have another Focal tweeter mounted up in that location. Thankfully they kept the grill on it so that they didn't smash the tweeter into the mount here. So that's cool. Power wires are ran on top of the zip ties, that there's plenty of, you can go underneath these. But there again, that's just nitpicking. This is what I don't understand. They ran wires and then we also have this, here's the bass knob, and then a purple wire, which we don't know what that's going to yet, but we'll figure it out. So all in all, it's not like the most terrible thing we've seen come through here. It's just a couple things that just need to be buttoned up to make everything work properly, like actually tune it and run a ground to the battery to fix that issue. He doesn't care. He just says tear it all out because I don't like it, not what I wanted. So what is he gonna do? So to power everything now, he wants to take out the 2 JL amplifiers and put in this Focal 6-channel amplifier. He wants to keep the DM608 and the Zen. He wants to pull out his front speakers and he wants to put in the new Flax Evo 6.5 components for the front doors. We'll mount the crossovers in the rear because we'll have room since we're only going to go with the one big amplifier. We'll take all this out and see what kind of other secrets are hidden behind here. One other thing, they built him a subwoofer enclosure and it has a JL woofer in there, but it is a gorgeous enclosure. They did a beautiful job on the enclosure. Leather inserts on the top and across the front here. It's spectacular. That just goes to show you, just because you can build a beautiful box, what's behind the panels is really what matters. Fernando's gonna go ahead and get the door panels off. The plan for them is to roadkill all of this fast strings and then just do fast strings on the rear door. I'm gonna get the amplifiers out and start dealing with what's going on behind there and then build a new amp rack. Before you start taking any equipment out of a car, make sure you disconnect the power from the battery so you don't damage any of the equipment that's in the car. And then tighten the battery back up. Don't leave it loose. I'm also gonna pull out their fuse holder. We're not gonna be reusing this one. When we do these disassemblies like this, we give the customer back all their old wiring. We don't need it, we don't want it. So I've put the fuse holder back together. We're just gonna leave it in a pile, and in the end we collect it all together and we give it back to them. They can do whatever they want with it. Some of the guys like to take it back to the stereo shop where they got their install from. Whatever works for you. With the battery disconnected, we can start pulling things out. The Zen is Velcroed in place. I want to get this out of here. Once we get this all out, I'm going to plug this back in because I want to make sure that all the channels are doing what they're supposed to do. The way they had the DSP set up, it's kind of odd. So I want to do some testing with this just to make sure that they didn't damage it. They must have ran out of screws because they don't have 4 matching screws to screw this in. I love it when you're unscrewing an Allen key and they don't use ferrules, so all you have to do is turn it like 1 rotation and the wire falls right out. That makes things so much easier to take out. This is the metal bracket that holds the amplifier, and the ground is sitting on top of that, which is then sitting on top of the car, which is aluminum. I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I'm amazed this stuff works. I mean, I know some of the things that we run into and we're just like crazy, like hard to believe. Well, I was really hoping they wouldn't have, but they did. They cut the factory plug to the amplifier for the speakers. That's what this is. Yeah, they got some weird stuff going on for sure. And it looks like they took the Zen harness and are using that to power the DSP. Dav TV would be thrilled to see that. Now everything is Tessa taped over here. This is what I love about people that use Tessa tape. Here you go. There's your Tessa tape. All 14 inches of it. That's all they used. The idea behind the Tessa tape is not necessarily where you're gonna see it. I wouldn't even use it there if you didn't need to. The whole idea behind the Tessa tape is to add insulation. It's like put on in little 2-inch pieces. Oh, they just had to lengthen it so that where you saw it. For where you're not going to see it, behind panels. That's where the factory puts all their tape, is so that things don't get caught. It's a protectant. Using it only where you're going to see it it's not the purpose of the tape. And the other thing too is, do me a favor, don't Tessa tape up your bass knob to anything. That's the one thing I don't bother to insulate on anything, because I will zip tie it into place and I'll zip tie it to a harness, but I don't Tessa tape it into anything, or lumen anything for that matter if I can avoid it. Bass knobs on amplifiers are typically some of the cheapest parts of the amplifier, and if there's anything that's going to be bad, it's going to be that. And if you have to do all this to replace the bass knob, that sucks. Here's our ground. Yay! And it's the whole thing's Tessa taped. That's so cool. I'm gonna put this over on the bench, and then I want to do some testing on the Zen to make sure that it's doing everything we need it to do and it still functions the right way. Off this amp rack, one of the things we're going to salvage is the power distribution. We're only gonna have one amplifier, and this is a dual output, and my plan is one side will be ground, one side will be power. Coming out of these two here, going off to another small fuse will be for the Zen and the DM608, and then these will just continue on to our 6-channel amplifier. So we can reuse this. Now these amplifiers are not a total loss. He's going to use these in another car that he has, where he's going to be doing a different system. So they will be going to a good home, his. He just doesn't want them in his car anymore. When removing wire from an amplifier with all these style screws, make sure to tighten them back up. Don't leave them loose. They might bounce around in the car for a couple weeks before people take them out, and those screws can become loose and they will roll away and be gone. When they bring them back to have them reinstalled, they're not there, and that poses a problem because they were there when they left. I'll go put these in the back of the truck with all the wiring. Everything's cleaned up and out. I have all the goo and tape off of the Zen harness. Like I said, they put Velcro on the back of it. In doing so, they covered up this sticker here. That's the serial number. Don't put Velcro or sticky tape or anything over the serial number on the back of the unit. Now, if this unit ever needs to be serviced, it's not there. It's gonna be an issue. I have my laptop. I'm on the Dav TV page with the Zen, and I'm looking at my 12 channels of output. This has 12 channels of output. And what I'm looking for is 1 and 2, 5 and 6, and 12. Those should be my front, rear, and sub outputs. I have my handheld RTA, plug it in, turn up the volume. And what I'm looking for is this to show some movement here, this black line right there. So that is channel 1, Channel 2 is giving me the same. Channel 6, channel 5, channel 12, and all of them look the same. I want to try my balance and fader. I've faded all the way to 4, which is the passenger rear door. Right rear door should be 8. Oh wow, okay, so I want 7 and 8, not 5 and 6. So 1 through 6 is all front. 7 and 8 are rear doors, and 8 gives me signal. That means 7 should give me nothing, and 7 gives me nothing. Move the fader control, and now I have signal coming over 7. Try 1, nothing. I have signal coming over 1. Let's go to 2. And I have signal coming over 2. None of this should affect 12, and it doesn't. I still have signal coming over 12. You might be asking why it has 12 channels of output. The Zen products have multiple platforms that they're available on. Some cars have 12 channels of output, therefore those outputs are there. For the RCAs I'm not going to use, I have these little RCA covers that come on some of the units, and when we take them off to run RCAs, we save them for situations like this. So these RCAs just won't be banging around back here live that could cause us issues. Now that we know that this is working the way we wanted it to, the last thing I need to test is the remote turn on output to make sure that functions. That's easy enough to do if I get 12 volts, and I do, so I have remote turn on.